Game of the round is at the MCG on Saturday afternoon. It's the Demons taking on the Saints. The Saints been one of the stories this year despite their loss last week, Ross. And we're going to take a look at the Demons' wins and are they ripe for the picking? They've won 14 in a row, 7 in a row this year, but their wins, Ross, haven't come against the best side so far this season.
No, they've played... The wins have been against 7 of the bottom 8. So even though last year's exposed form, you think they were better teams. But this year, a lot of those teams, Essendon, the Suns, the Giants, rough patches, Port Adelaide. So it might be a little bit misleading.
And you've seen something in their scoring where they have been a little bit patchy and they've just turned it on for one quarter.
Yeah, so their scoring profile, I think, gives St Kilda a real opportunity. So they just sort of mediocre in Q1 and Q2. They gather themselves at half-time. They come out, you hear, Melbourne, we got it on our terms. And they really smash. They go to number 1 scoring in the third quarter. And then they drop to 16th. Is that because they take the foot off the pedal? But I think they're flirting with the form a little bit. And you need a team, if you can go with them and really defend that third quarter and have a crack at them in the last quarter.
You can't be up all the time, obviously, with what they're doing, but we saw something last week. I know it's been highlighted a lot on the shows that we've done on the Sunday Footy Show, but I think St Kilda have the game, Ross, that can do this. They take the game on. Can you turn the Melbourne defence inside out and have them in positions like that rather than them facing the game,
Yeah,
Ross?
well, if you can take ground on them and disrupt their defence and turn them around, you can expose them. And they really made the Melbourne defenders defend better than most teams have all year.
This one was O'Meara. So he has Jake Lever, and you can see Jake's in a horrible position as we let it unfold. Hunt's not in a great position. Yeah. Brayshaw's not in a great position.
And they're assertive at the back.
Yeah.
So if you can take ground through here and penetrate, you really expose them. But it's that corridor. If you get in the corridor, you take away any angle for the defence and support, and then you're really picking your options.
And then O'Meara picks it up and Lever's not even in the picture. So that's what I think the Saints can do. And we look at the Saints ball movement in Cairns. Yeah, they lost the game by a point. They were the better side. I'm not concerned by that at all. I think they can really take this up to Melbourne and we can see, is there a team that can bridge the gap on this side? And you've got to do this. Hawthorn went from a play-on percentage of 31% to 43% to try and challenge.
Yeah, well, you've got to disrupt them. When you turn it over and they're out of position, go. Don't let them get settled. Don't let them get organised. And the Saints can really run and get out the back of you. No better exponent than Higgins. You're going to have to anticipate the turnover and expose them and their position.
And Ross, you have to have a tough midfield. And I think what's good about St Kilda is Crouch is playing the best footy he has in a long time. Ross is back at some form, and Gresham, he's made a big difference to them.
Yeah, well, the start of the year was like Saints midfield's mediocre. Well, they've stepped up. Crouch moving back up into A grade. Steele just going on with it as he has. I haven't seen Ross play better footy with his commitment levels, and Gresham's that X factor with his agility and power. I think he'll challenge them, there's no doubt, and Ryder versus Gorn's a good matchup as well.
Ross, we saw Sam Mitchell do something as well that no one of the rest of the sides have done, and that is McGuinness going to Ed Langdon, kept Langdon to 9 disposals in this game.
Well, I love that. Ed wants to play circuit work, just put on his marathon shoes and off he goes, the running man. But all of a sudden he had to compete and he had an opponent responsible for him, and it cut him to 9 disposals. He averages in the 20s, kicks a goal a week, and Finn McGuinness got, I think, 14 or 12 disposals. So great thinking outside the box. Can't stop the insiders, let's stop the outside run.
And we think McKenzie could potentially do
He's got a massive tank. You speak to the St Kilda people, he's found his niche on the wing. I think Ratton will learn from it, go to school, give Ed another tough week.
Who are you tipping, Ross?
I think the Saints are steeled. I actually like their form up there. If they kick straight, they win by 3 up there. I don't think they dropped off mentally at all. I think if Melbourne are napping, they can get it done.
Yeah, Melbourne will bring probably 4 or 5 back from COVID last week. To the second game, Friday night footy. It's Port Adelaide v the Western Bulldogs. Port coming off a couple of victories, and Ross, contested footy in the Dogs. That's the key for them.
Yeah, it is. They've won it 40 times. The last 40 times they've won contested ball, they're 33 and 7. Won at 33. This year they've won contested ball 3 times and won the game 3 times. Conversely, they've lost contested ball 3 times and they've lost the game. So it really is their key KPI, and you have to match them in there. Last year they won this game in the final, plus 30 contested ball, the Bulldogs.
Yeah, no doubt. This was the first centre bounce. Liberatore, get him in there. That's what he is, a clearance beast. Bontempelli, Hunter, McRae. Hunter obviously won't be there. Treloar. This was the next stoppage. Libra again. Bailey Smith at ground level. This game was over.
English picks this up. That's a ground ball. Bang. First give. Yeah. So it wasn't pretty. Win it. Surge it forward. Crumb. Make them defend.
Yeah. So that's one aspect. And for the Western Bulldogs, their DNA is running in waves. And last week, this is at the prelim, they did it. They just blew Port Adelaide away. My big question mark on Port Adelaide is, have they got the midfield depth to go too far? Yes, they've won their last two, but I've still got my doubts on them to cope with the Doggies midfield.
Well, they play an expansive game, the Bulldogs. They run, they overlap on the weekend. Caleb Daniel, Bailey Dale, Richards were fantastic out the back. Bailey Smith. So they'll run and disrupt you. If they can't put the heat on if they can't match them in the contest and they can't stop their run out of defence, they're in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, this was them last week. Got back, they're just splitting the Bombers open with their ball movement. Caleb Daniel again, Ross, you just touched on. Contest Aaron Norton over the top into Cody Waitman.
Well, they're easy goals. That's my concern. Port had a hard-fought mental match, whereas Bulldogs did it easy, to be honest. So hopefully they get to that really hard edge again, the Bulldogs, and they can get it done in a hostile territory.
Port Adelaide's best on ground in Cairns was this man, Alir. He marked everything. He was best on ground. He reads the place so well. He's hard to stop, Ross.
Well, that's back to his sweet spot. Yeah. But a couple of weeks, a long time in footy. Yeah. Against Carlton, he had to play on McKay and then a Curnow, and he had a bag kicked on him. But if you let him dictate his own starting position and not play on anyone, he'll dominate the game.
This is last year's prelim. I think the Western Bulldogs went to school and kept him out of it, and they just kept the player back on him, didn't they?
Yeah, well, Shaki come in, English handled him as well, and he had a bag kicked on them. So, you know what, it's what we say. We know what they're good at, take it off them. So Bevo will plan, let's make him defend one-on-one and expose him.
I like the Dogs, Ross. What about you?
Yeah, I think the Dogs can get it done as well.
And the last game is Richmond and Collingwood. This could be a vying for the last spot in the top 8 by the end of the year, this one. And we found something interesting. They both attack and don't defend too well.
Well, they're sort of top 4 attacks, or 3 and 5, and both of them are down the bottom defending. So they're flowing. The Tigers' DNA has changed. So it could always score, but they're really not contestable, defensive. So here, they're flowing, and the Eagles are an assertive defence, but no pressure on it. They're going to expose you quickly.
And Collingwood will do exactly the same thing. This is going to be a great game to watch because of the way the teams attack. Collingwood, this has been one of the strengths of Craig McRae. Hasn't defended that well, but Richmond are playing. Richmond aren't defending the ground that well either, are they?
No, well, they're 70 points before half-time, Collingwood. So the Collingwood supporters will be wrapped, but they're giving key forwards a look. So the big fella, Kaz Bolt kicked 4. They've had a number of people kick bags on them. And as soon as their pressure in the midfield and forward line drops, opposition forwards are getting Cameron kick 6, big turnaround. So that's what you should be looking for. Can their small forwards and mids keep the pressure up? Because otherwise, this assertive defence just gets exposed. They get disorganised very quickly.
And we believe that Tom Lynch could set himself for another big one. Kick 7 against the West Coast Eagles, and they're just too assertive at the moment, Collingwood. Jack Magsden, Darcy Moore, those types are too assertive. Ross, I like the Magpies, though, still. What about you?
I think the Tigers can get it done.
Yeah. That's it, Sam.
Tigers still win the flag, Caro? Take that as a no.